My brothers, my sisters, this means so much. More than I can possibly fathom.
Fathom. Fathom.
I just can't fathom giving any of you tiny-brained scalpel jockeys a leadership position.
For reasons I cannot fathom, the Omotikai have chosen you.
They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom.
I believe that in this moment you cannot fathom leaving me.
Fathom. Fathom.
The aftermath of COVID still lingers. Putin's war in Ukraine has destabilized energy markets.
Linger. Linger.
Why do you linger in the shadows?
The young perish and the old linger.
Linger. Linger.
The 21st century has the potential to be a pivotal point in human history, when economic, social, and technological progress reach a combined apogee with the benefits multiplied.
Pivotal. Pivotal.
This turned out to be a pivotal moment in my life.
There's a pivotal point that escapes me.
Mother, I just said,
First, it is not a pivotal project in your career.
It's a pivotal page.
Pivotal. Pivotal.
But after I heard the lies and slanders leveled at my country by many of the speakers at this podium, I decided to come here and set the record straight.
Slander. Slander.
I should sue them for slander.
I demand you tell me who is spreading such slander.
Slander. Slander.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth.
Safeguard. Safeguard.
Meantime, I shall safeguard it here.
The alliance between our peoples, born of baptism and marriage, is the only way to safeguard our future.
Safeguard. Safeguard.
We monitor the situation very carefully.
Monitoring the situation?
Yes.
For intervention purposes?
No, it's the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Finance.
Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction.
The Distinguished Scholars Program is under our jurisdiction.
The facility is now under our jurisdiction.
What?
This is our jurisdiction, not yours.
Would you mind explaining to me what you and Rosewood were doing in a strip bar out of our jurisdiction when you were still on duty?
Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction.
These people are crazy. It will be a big deportation. We're going to deport these people. We're going to get them out of our country immediately.
Deportation. Deportation.
I recommend deportation. With no proof of a crime, there's no cause for deportation.
I'm from the Immigration Department. I have a court order for your deportation and a warrant for your arrest.
Deportation. Deportation.
Caricatures are different. They have something else. They're not just malicious. They have a cleverness about them, a genuine cleverness or a wit.
Malicious. Malicious.
Who says that? That's a malicious lie.
I just need you to know that I feel terrible about what I did, and I wasn't being malicious.
You're going to proceed under threat of malicious prosecution or not?
Malicious. Malicious.
So thank you, and honestly, you want to just be a pest. Just be a pest to everyone you know, people on the street, everywhere. Vote, vote, vote.
Pest. Pest.
And I thought he was a pest at first, but then he kind of grew on me, and now I love him.
Wait a minute, please. I'm not trying to be a pest.
Why are you such a pest?
Pest. Pest.
The truth is sacred, unalterable,
chiseled into the stone of the foundation of our republic.
Chisel. Chisel.
They get inside your head, chisel their way in, and they try to break us.
If you want your name etched in stone, you're going to have to take up the chisel yourself.
The chisel marks left by Michelangelo about 500 years ago are still visible.
Chisel. Chisel.
A great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
Proclamation. Proclamation.
I signed the Emancipation Proclamation a year and a half before my second election.
President Kennedy has signed a formal proclamation setting up a blockade of all missiles bound for Cuba.
Proclamation. Proclamation.
A unified Germany at the heart of a European Union built on the bold premise that nations need not repeat the conflicts of the past.
Premise. Premise.
I don't agree with the premise or the policy that families and marriage are the only way to promote goodness in the world.
Your major premise was based on a faulty assumption.
Don't want a consensus forming around the premise that military action is necessarily the primary option at this point.
Premise. Premise.
We see a rising tide of nationalism, masquerading as patriotism, and the reemergence of policies encouraging fear and hatred of others.
Masquerade. Masquerade.
Because we need our professional news media now more than ever. And besides, most of this content doesn't even masquerade as news. It's memes, videos, social posts. And most of it is not fake. It's misleading.
I mean, it was fine for you to masquerade as his father when we were together, but now that we're not...
This is wrong.
Masquerade. Masquerade.
So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. And it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort.
Grit. Grit.
He certainly would. He is a man of grit and strong moral fiber.
And when the challenges come, we'll greet them the way Americans always do, with grit, determination, and pride.
For a commonwealth, but only grit, good sense, and determination.
Grit. Grit.
We, as representing the United States of America, walk into rooms around the world as a role model, imperfect though we may be, but a role model of what it means to be committed to certain standards, including international rules and norms, but also standards of decorum.
Decorum. Decorum.
But enforcing strict standards of dress is essential for maintaining the decorum of an event.
We'll ask you to observe something of the decorum of a gentleman.
What?
First of all, we are in a public place, so we have to display a sense of decorum. And second of all, I might break a nail.
Decorum. Decorum.
After Miranda was done saving her own life, she called someone who could commiserate.
Commiserate. Commiserate.
I only went down there to commiserate, and he was very dismissive.
This is your chance to commiserate.
Maybe we could commiserate over a drink.
And he is the very first foreign leader to reach George W. Bush on September 11th and to empathize with him. Not commiserate, but empathize with him.
Commiserate. Commiserate.
And I want to give heartfelt greetings, especially to our sisters in Afghanistan and all of those who have had to leave their country. We are all gathered here today to express our solidarity with you.
Solidarity. Solidarity.
We need solidarity!
By coming together, all of us, by pledging our solidarity, our friendship, we've made history.
I started shaving my head 20 years ago in solidarity with my mother who was undergoing chemotherapy.
Solidarity. Solidarity.
Both the government and companies are now actively trying to reduce the number of working hours here. And there are some early signs of hope. Japan's government has considered several initiatives to curb the number of hours spent at the office.
Curb. Curb.
So they sent me to therapy and put me on these drugs that were supposed to curb my anger.
To punish those who prey on the weak. To curb the power of men.
But for a few seasons more, he would have to curb his ambition.
Curb. Curb.
But I have to cover all things on the top of press conference and also contingency managing. So we always says the tatewari should be broken.
Contingency. Contingency.
We need to stay focused on our contingency plan for an evacuation without the appearance of doing so.
Yes, a missile fired from an RPA is part of an agreed contingency plan in circumstances like this.
So it's reckless, irresponsible, and foolishly dangerous of the city not to develop a contingency plan. We're going to need...
Contingency. Contingency.
Unbelievable, because you work tirelessly to keep film alive. And I celebrate you and thank you. And thank you because it's important and it's necessary and indelible.
Indelible. Indelible.
Can you leave a mark that's indelible?
Although my time here has been brief, it has been without a doubt indelible.
He made an indelible impression on everyone. From my son JT and myself.
Indelible. Indelible.
Otani's Japanese teammate Yamamoto Yoshinobu started Game 2 and contributed another victory with a stellar performance.
Stellar. Stellar.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's stellar.
I mean, the right person with a stellar reputation, who understands the issues, who believes in reform.
Well, Lewis always did say that it was one of your many stellar qualities.
Well, he had a stellar 14-year career before joining Hawkins' squad.
Stellar. Stellar.
Put another way, security, stability, prosperity, they are no longer solely analog matters. The choices that we make today, that you make today, will be decisive, and they will reverberate for generations.
Reverberate. Reverberate.
A man whose name will soon reverberate throughout the scientific community and far beyond.
Even in an extremely constrained society, women are able to imagine a future for themselves different from the ones that were expected for them. And this has many lessons that reverberate in our modern era.
Reverberate. Reverberate.
America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade...
Grievance. Grievance.
Mrs. O'Grady, I understand your grievance.
Oh, I really don't think you do.
Now they've taken a jurisdictional grievance against us.
I will be lodging a formal grievance at the next Dan Mother meeting.
Well, if there's a grievance in the community, we cut it right out before it has a chance to grow.
Grievance. Grievance.
Over the past 4 years, Kamala has orchestrated the most egregious betrayal that any leader in American history has ever inflicted upon our people. She's violated her oath of office. She's eradicated our sovereign border and unleashed an army of gangs and criminal migrants from prisons and jails.
Egregious. Egregious.
Frankly, Mr. Gallagher, your son's behavior has been among the most egregious I've seen at this school.
Dennis, this is an egregious wrong.
Mr. Warwick for some pretty egregious grievances.
I humbly apologize for my egregious error.
This is egregious! Do you hear me? Egregious!
Egregious. Egregious.
Donald Trump completes his improbable political comeback. The president-elect once again.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time.
After 4 years away from the White House, the former president leads a red wave in a contentious campaign. A presidential election like no other in our history, addressing a fired-up crowd of supporters in Florida overnight.
Contentious. Contentious.
I'm sorry it's been so contentious.
In today's real estate news, after a series of contentious negotiations, the biggest private real estate development in the South Bronx has been put on hold.
And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect.
Wage. Wage.
I promise to wage an aggressive and vigorous campaign based on a platform of practical liberalism.
Germany will soon be strong enough to wage an aggressive war, which is what I believe they intend to do.
Wage. Wage.
And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars.
Adage. Adage.
As the old adage went, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
There's an adage that if you're feeling nervous, then you should imagine the entire audience are in their underwear.
Adage. Adage.
And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, child care options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
Revenue. Revenue.
As you rightly point out, such an arrangement would provide a steady source of revenue to the store at no additional labor cost.
You have no new ideas, and there is no new revenue.
Revenue. Revenue.
And today, a high-profile appointment was made, with Trump announcing Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be heading up the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. Donald Trump released a statement which read, "Together, these two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies."
Dismantle. Dismantle.
Captain, I'm afraid I have to ask permission to dismantle your ship to build this flying machine.
Klingons would become the alien trash of the galaxy. And if we dismantle the fleet, we'd be defenseless before an aggressive species with a foothold on our territory.
Time is hard to account for. It is easily spent, squandered, stolen, and lost.
Squander. Squander.
You should be out in the world living your life. Don't squander this gift you've been given.
You have talent, darling. Don't squander it.
Squander. Squander.
I couldn't be more excited for you all here today. You have worked so hard, you've honed your skills. It is now your chance to go out into the world and let your creativity fly.
Hone. Hone.
Captain, not only will you have the chance to hone our team to a fine edge, you'll also have the opportunity to learn a great deal about life.
But if you hone your craft, work diligently, you might just find yourself cast in the role of a lifetime.
Hone. Hone.
Last month, Russia sent over 1,300 drones against Ukrainian cities. Throughout the summer, hundreds of missiles have rained on Ukrainians' energy infrastructure. Countless Ukrainians have been killed or wounded. Families have been separated. Cities have been destroyed. The world has witnessed the atrocities of Russia's war.
Atrocity. Atrocity.
Man is capable of as much atrocity as he has imagination.
All I want is to know that this atrocity is false.
Atrocity. Atrocity.
And I don't think people understand how easy it is to infer that someone who's a female artist or a female in our industry is somehow doing something wrong by wanting love, wanting money, wanting success. Women are not allowed to want those things the way that men are allowed to want them.
Infer. Infer.
We infer their existence because of the effect they have on the star they orbit.
What I infer from your letter is that you used to be close friends but are no longer so.
Infer. Infer.
For Shohei Ohtani. He is a video game, and MLB doesn't stand for Major League Baseball. It stands for the most lethal batter.
Lethal. Lethal.
It's only a tiny thing, but it's lethal.
And yet to a diabetic, sugar can be lethal.
Lethal. Lethal.
Order! 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 This government or that Labour Party led by Jeremy Corbyn.
We don't name people in the chamber. People must observe the rules. No, order! Order! Order, I am simply and politely informing the Prime Minister of the very long established procedure with which everybody, including the Prime Minister, must comply.
Comply. Comply.
The South must comply with the law.
If you do not comply, we will use deadly force.
Comply. Comply.
Because the referendum was not just a call to leave the EU, but for profound change in our country. I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The second female Prime Minister, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
Referendum. Referendum.
Tomorrow I will commence the process to hold a referendum on Britain's membership of the European Union.
Excuse me.
With respect, this referendum is a really dumb idea.
Referendum. Referendum.
Many of the best creatives and business people, who although supremely qualified and talented, were turned down over and over as executives at major corporations because they were female or because of racial disparity. And I've been very proud to provide them with a place at my table.
Disparity. Disparity.
There have been matches of greater disparity.
A disparity of wealth.
Disparity. Disparity.
Australia's Senate is voting on a landmark bill to ban children under the age of 16 from accessing social media. If this passes, it would be the first of its kind anywhere in the world and aims to hold platforms accountable and to mitigate the negative impacts of the internet on the young.
Mitigate. Mitigate.
You can't mitigate the damage from his lie.
Being a doctor doesn't mitigate my ability to understand this.
Mitigate. Mitigate.
And will not be manipulated by any government. More than 150 million Americans who love our platform, and we know we have a responsibility to protect them. Number one, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number two, we will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. Number 3, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government.
Manipulate. Manipulate.
I'm not here to manipulate test results.
You scare him, and you manipulate him, and you use your son.
Manipulate. Manipulate.
Because I can't think of a more tenacious, more courageous graduating class. I mean, look at you. Don't take anyone's advice. So my advice to you is to be true to yourself. You're gonna be okay. Dum, doom, doom, doom. Just dance.
Tenacious. Tenacious.
She's tenacious.
If she can solve them, it'll prove she's intelligent, tenacious, and...
Tenacious. Tenacious.
What has been a big mistake or a failure?
You're waiting for that one.
Oh, ow.
It hurts. It actually physically hurts.
Failure,
I had a
you
big, huge failure. I think it's a stage of life, and you have to ask that question to yourself. Are you okay with risk? Do you want risk? How risk averse are you? It's such an individual journey.
Averse. Averse.
Majesty, as you are sensitive to flowers, she is averse to iron.
Lady Catherine's never been averse to the truly humble.
Averse. Averse.
What is your advice in this moment for President Trump?
Well, a president is a public servant. They are temporary occupants of the office by design. And when your time is up, then it is your job to put the country first and think beyond your own ego and your own interests and your own disappointments.
Occupant. Occupant.
The occupant has complete control over their inside and outside worlds.
While there is no sign of an occupant at the moment, it is clear the minister's assertions of abandoned tunnels are incorrect.
Occupant. Occupant.
I told myself in the beginning how stupid I was, how dumb this was to do. I no longer say that. I am a victim of a criminal.
Yeah. What can people do?
Well, scams are certainly big in news, shows like this and what have you, in magazine articles. It's getting more coverage so people understand more, but they're not educated enough as to how devious these folks are. They are so good at what they do. So good.
Devious. Devious.
More clever and more devious.
It was a trap, all part of my crazy, devious plan.
Devious. Devious.
Can you define the word love?
With great difficulty. The feeling you have for each other, the appreciation you have of each other. Love is a conglomeration of attitudes, feelings. I mean, there's just so much that's part of it. Make sure you marry the right spouse. Nothing more important in your entire life.
Conglomeration. Conglomeration.
City or a hive, or a nest, or a conglomeration.
It's the biggest conglomeration of lies and distortions and half-truths I've ever seen. And I'm extremely glad you asked me because I want to get my side of it all on the record.
Conglomeration. Conglomeration.
When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Wade. Wade.
The volunteers! You have to wade through Irish blood!
Only a river. You can wade across it at a dozen places.
Wade. Wade.
My life had changed rather significantly. I was now married, and I was now a mom. My worldview had expanded exponentially, seeing the global community through the eyes of my child. And I would ask, what is this world he would come to adopt? And what can we do? What can I do to make it better? I am thrilled that my husband is able to join me here this time.
Exponentially. Exponentially.
I want to summarize. On emigrating when I did was the single best decision that I ever made. My life has just grown exponentially better ever since I made that decision.
Exponentially. Exponentially.
And the world needs more girls like you growing up to lead our parliaments and our boardrooms and our courtrooms and our universities. We need you. We need people like you tackling the pressing problems we face: climate change and poverty, violent extremism, disease. And while all of that might sound a little daunting, I just want you to remember that you don't have to do this alone.
Daunting. Daunting.
Parental pressure can be daunting.
A classroom with 50 students can be daunting for anyone.
Daunting. Daunting.
And Tom would be the youngest ever to receive such a prestigious accolade.
Accolade. Accolade.
Not sure I deserve such an accolade.
That's quite an accolade.
But with profound humility to the band, the greatest fans a group could have, and this exceptional accolade.
Accolade. Accolade.
I still believe that we can act when it's hard. I still believe we can replace acrimony with civility and gridlock with progress.
Acrimony. Acrimony.
Let's not squander our energy on acrimony and recriminations.
We brought fucking acrimony and separation everywhere we went.
May I suggest taking a timeout from the acrimony?
Acrimony. Acrimony.